Welcome, your saltwater guide, Captain Dave Hansen. We got Roy Rose with us back on the show again. We're super excited. We're going to be talking all kinds of different fish. We're going to do something different today, though. We're going to open it up. If you guys have any questions, you want to know what's going on down below the border, what Roy thinks this season's going to look like, you can ask us any questions you want as go along here, and we'll ask Roy the questions, which is kind of unique because we don't really get a lot of question and answers with Roy Rose. So this is going to be fun today, gang. And I want to thank fishingbooker.com for allowing us to do this show every Thursday. They've been our sponsor for quite a long time, and we can't do the show without them. We'll show you a cool little video in a little bit about how wonderful that company fishingbooker.com is, and all the San Diego landings and Newport, Dana Point, Oceanside, everybody uses Fishing Booker to book their trips, and we use them over here at Your Saltwater Guide also, plus they're a sponsor of the show. So thank you, Fishing Booker. Anywhere you are on the world, you need a boat to go fishing on, just go to the internet and type in fishingbooker.com and put in your zip code where you're at, and you'll find a boat to go fishing on. And they got lots of great reviews over there. So check out fishingbooker.com. All right, Roy Rose, welcome to the show again, buddy. I feel like I just saw you a couple days ago.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. Yeah, it was like I was right next to you.
Exactly. And oh my gosh, my buddy Ron, he was like, that Roy guy, that guy's a keeper. That guy's a cool dude. I want to hang out with him more. I go, yeah, he's a pretty cool dude. He's got that fever. He likes doing exactly what we love to do, fish.
That's it. We need to get him down there when the halibut are supposed to be around so he can show me some of his secret techniques.
Yeah, he's quite the halibut fisherman. He just went fishing with Captain Al in the Back Bay. They had a handful of halibut, and he got his first. You and I were talking about, he got his first bonefish ever in that San Diego Bay. Kind of a unique fishery back there, right? You spent a lot of time there growing up, huh?
Oh, yeah, no, I remember catching those when I was like 13, 14 years old. You pin on a couple, either use mussels or ghost shrimp, a two hook rig, a 2-ounce sinker, and you throw it out. You're catching bonefish, and I remember the first one I got, I had like about a 13-inch spotted bass on the bottom hook, and one of them bonefish on the top hook, and that spotted bass looked like a spinner blade going through the water. That thing was just getting drug. I'm like, what the heck is this thing? And finally drag it up on the beach, and so I had to bring it home to show it to my dad. I go, Dad, what is this thing? And he goes, oh, that's a bonefish. I've been catching those for years back there. I'm like, really? So then I knew there was bonefish. But we catch them fairly frequently.
And that's amazing because most people don't know that fishery even exists in San Diego. People fly all over the world to catch a bonefish.
Oh, yeah, no, they can get it done right here. Right in San Diego, I should say. That Liberty Station channel is loaded with them. I remember you'd watch them. It's funny because they would uproot along the shore like this with their tails out of the water, cruising along the shore, kicking up sand, and right behind them was all the mullet, just filter feeding through them. So they got like a little system.
They follow them around to feed behind them, huh?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. You watch the whole thing unfold. It's like, oh, look, there goes a bunch of bonefish. You see all this dust, just a little dust. And there's the mullet going right through them. You know, just sucking in all that dust. Whatever they do with it.
They used to drive me crazy when I was a kid back in the day, scrubbing the boat, and those mullet would come around the boat, and we would try to snag. We couldn't catch them, but boy, they were nice ones. They were like 3 and 4 pound mullet swimming around the docks.
Oh yeah, no, you need a nice treble hook and that's good hand-eye coordination snagging right there. Anticipating it was fun. You get to be pretty good at it when you're a little kid. If you want to catch one, there it goes.
Exactly.
Get your hook in front of his face.
And the real cool thing for me talking to you is we basically grew up the exact same way, only 60 miles apart. I was in Dana Point Harbor. You were in San Diego Harbor, but we did the same things growing up, little kids fishing on the docks. Anywhere we could throw our line in the water, we fished, right?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Making hand lines, tying them off the cleats. I remember my dad doing maintenance on the old city of Imperial Beach, and they had some dried sardines, or back then it was anchovies, but they had them in the. He goes, get in there and clean all that out of there. So he threw me in the bait tank. I cleaned all the crap out of there. He was doing maintenance on the boat, and I found some line and string. And I started handling. I started catching all these. I don't know what they were, but I know I was catching. They were queenfish. So I had them, and I had a bucket. And my dad's like, "What are you doing, laying on your stomach?" And I was hand lining these queenfish and throwing them in the bucket. And he goes, "Where'd you find that line at?" I go, "It's in the trash can." Then I found a hook, and pretty soon I had about a half dozen queenfish in the bucket, and he was laughing his ass off.
Oh my gosh. Gang, you guys don't understand. Queenfish were like the fish for Roy and I when we were kids, fishing off the docks, bugging our dads. And then if you could make a bunch of queenfish and then take them out to the kelp beds and go calico bass fishing, hey baby, that was an incredible bait, the brown bait back then, right, Roy?
Oh yeah, before we had sardines to throw in, that was like your bigger bait. That was like your big bait to throw into the weeds and catch nice bass for sure.
Yeah, and you'd snag them. Sometimes we'd snag them at the dock before we went out, or the night before. My dad would give us the old Lucky Joe's, the yellow and red yarn, and just
Yeah.
and flick them into the bait tank. Bunch of dumb little kids. We just fill up the bait tank for him so he could go fish brown bait in the morning when he went out there. Gang, when we grew up, there was no sardines. I remember in 79 or 80, the first time I ever saw a sardine in the bait tank, Roy, we were fishing sand bass down off of San Onofre, and I was on the bait tank chumming. Doug Harmon was running the boat, and I looked in the bait tank, and the anchovies all swimming around in a circle, and there's one fish with some dots on his back, and I was like on a mission. I'm going to catch that thing with the bait scoop. I got it out of the tank. I ran to the bridge. I asked the captain, I said, Doug, what is this? Is this a domino fish? Because it looked like a domino. It had those dots. I had no idea it was a Monterey sardine. And he looked at me straight face and he said, that's a sardine. Those things are extinct. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, you'll probably never see another one in your lifetime. Back in the old days, the canneries fished those things to extinction. And I was like, wow, I got an extinct fish right here. I thought it was so cool. Then what? 10 years later, every bait tank is full of them in California.
Yeah.
It was a fun way to grow up, though, anchovy fishing, right?
Oh yeah, no, it definitely it made a lot of better lure fishermen. I personally think, just because you chum the anchovies, and then fish are blown out around the boat. You couldn't get an anchovy that far. You got to you learn how to use a surface lure to get it out there and get bit.
Right.
The barracuda are boiling around, biting it, to put the Caddy AA with a single hook, slow wind, boom, started loading up.
The fish sure did go nuts, though, when you pulled up to the edge of the kelp or somewhere and threw a handful of anchovies in the water. It was a different time, right?
Oh yeah, no, like I said, it was like I said, if you wanted to target a better fish, you got very proficient at surface iron fishing. Whatever your favorite surface lure was, you got good at throwing it, reading the seagulls, reading the birds, and getting it in there and figuring out the speed you needed to wind to get a fish.
It was definitely a fun way to grow up, gang. And to think that Roy and I grew up in such a phenomenal time in Southern California fisheries, we didn't ever even think for 1 second that someone was going to take fishing away from us. That you can't even comprehend that back in those days, right? There was no sense of someone doesn't want us to do this. All you and me and all of our buddies running around the docks, giant smiles on our faces, just having the time of our lives.
I can't comprehend it now. Someone trying to take away fishing, especially I got these little boys here, and they've already got the bug. I got my little boy Royale. They're running around fishing all over the place. I mean, he's only 3, but the guys every morning we going fishing. Go fishing. Go, okay, buddy, let's go. I take him out, and it's gonna be it's just kind of messed up to think that someone's trying to shut that down. I mean, you already got enough kids playing with computers and this and that they have no idea there's even fishing out there. But I mean, for the kids that grow up in the mountains away from the city, that's all they do is hunt and fish. Not that I'm a hunter, but I am a fisherman. And all my kids, all my stepkids, they love to fish. They've never been exposed to it, and I'll take them all out at one time. It's like I'm running I'm running a charter, taking them out, catching whatever. I'm full speed shaking fish, casting them out. Okay, wind this in, and they're in there getting bit. They're getting fish, and it's a whole new world to them. And they're constantly, hey, can we go fishing today? Sure, let's go. No matter
Yeah.
what it is, let's go catch mackerel. We can go catch sand bass, go catch stingrays. They don't care what it is. They just want to catch something. It's a
Yeah,
bite. They
your
want to get
kids,
bites.
your kids are so lucky to be where you're at right now. That is such a phenomenal place. I'm so happy for Royale and the rest of the family because they're getting to see it, the real thing. Like you were telling me before, you guys were fishing this morning. You were fishing last night. You're going to go back fishing after the podcast. You're staring at the water right now, looking out right over the top of your computer.
I changed my camera view this time. I'm looking at land now, so I keep staring at all the birds out there.
Yeah, it is pretty spectacular to grow up there as some young men. They're having the time of their lives, Dad. And you guys are catching so much cool fish off the beach right there. I saw Lauren pulling on a big bat ray the other night. That was kind of a cool video.
Yeah. I've been wanting to try that for a while, and like I said, we had that 85-degree weather, that little hot spell. I was like, this is a perfect night. So we went out there, hung out in the lawn chairs and the lantern for an hour, and got a couple bites, and came back in.
And she got one. That was pretty fun to watch her winding that thing in. Thanks for posting that video. That was cool. We're going to go back to talking about the kids fishing though, because right now, you and I, we talked about it for a few minutes before we went live, but they're on a mission right now to stop us from fishing in the state of California. And they're doing it systematically. They're doing it so easily, Roy. It's just blowing my mind how easy they're doing this to us. You and I talked about this before. When you and I grew up, you could have 15 rockfish and they could all be vermilions or they could all be whatever. Now you go out, let's just say you go on a charter boat, go to San Nicolas Island, which is a bitchin' place to fish out of San Pedro, Long Beach, LA Harbor. You're going to go to San Nic to go catch 2 vermilion rockfish. Talk about that for a minute.
That's a long way to go for 2 rockfish. That's like 1 drop. I think you're only allowed to use 2 hooks, right?
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, that's 1 drop. Now what?
Right.
Obviously,
now
you would find something. But the sad part is, okay, yeah, well, let's say, yeah, you got to go target something else. Oh, we're going to go catch lingcod, or we're going to go do this or that. But there's still going to be reds in the way, and you're going to catch them, and you're going to reel them in, and then you got to put a descending vise on them. But when their eyes are bugged out of their head and their guts fucking pop, pardon me, the sack's hanging out. They go, oh, yeah, put the descending vise. It goes right down. It's going to live. Really? You mean to tell me that thing looks like Marty Feldman? It's going to live. The eyes are bugged out. It's floating. Yeah, you put the descending vise on it, and they've got dramatic video of the eyes going back into the head. And it's no different than a diver going and getting the bends. I mean, think about it. It's a fish. It just went through a traumatic experience. But, I'm just commenting on the catch and release. Oh, you can just let them go. I go, no, you really can't.
Right.
So it's just annoying to watch.
And then what I wanted everyone to know is it's Roy and I, we fished our whole lives. That's all we've done. We, unfortunately, while you guys were all out there banking and doing all the crazy things that you've done to make a living. Roy and I have fished our whole lives. So that's why I wanted him to talk about it. Because see, most shows and everything in California, we're not allowed to tell truth. So over here on this podcast, this is where we tell the truth. So we're going to piss a lot of people off because they're going to hate to hear the truth. But when you put a rockfish back down that you pulled up from 400, 500, or 600 feet down, and like Roy said, his eyes are bugging out of his head, and Roy and I look at it, and there's little bubbles inside their eyeballs. Not just their eyes poking out of their head, but if you look, there's a million little bubbles. When you put that fish back down, like Roy said, on a descending device, I don't care what these superstars that their hands are softer than that white sand at your house. They're telling us that fish lives. I'm sorry, it doesn't live, gang. It may swim away out of the light when they took the video, but he went like this, and then turned upside down when he got out of the light and floated back up to the surface a mile from you. They don't live, gang, but we play the game out of sight, out of mind. It makes everybody feel warm and fuzzy inside. But like Roy said, you go out there fishing, and you gotta catch fish for your passengers. They didn't come on the boat to not catch something to take home. And then Roy and I came from the world where you're allowed 15, and you can fish with 10 hooks or 20 hooks or 100 hooks. Now you got to drop down 800 feet of water with 2 hooks and hook 2 fish that you can't keep. And that's supposed to make you feel good. Because what they did, Roy, was the day they took our vermilions from 5 to 2, they opened up the ocean to unlimited depth. And so the people that don't understand this whole thing were like, celebrate. Oh, we get to fish 800 feet of water. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't keep the fish that live there. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, the cow cod live there. Yeah. Well, they opened the cow cod conservation zone. Yeah. But you can't keep cow cod. They're like, huh? I go, yeah, pretty crazy, right, Roy?
Yeah. Yeah. There's, like I said, it's a shame to see it fish accidentally be brought up, and I just put this thing on and send them back down. And like, really? All right, well, here we go. It's like, wow. Hope there's some crabs down there that like something to
Cow
eat.
cod.
Yeah.
So let's be real. Let's get real. Okay, Roy, you're running the boat. You're the captain. You're going to Cortez Bank or Tanner Bank or San Clemente Island to go rock cod on April 1st when rock cod season opens. You got your crew. You got your couple of deckhands, your second operator, your cook. You're going to be out there. Fish are going to be biting. You got to take one of those crew members, and he's going to have to, all day long, his job is to descend fish.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
No, that's exactly what's happening. So what do? Do you hire another guy just to descend the fish, or do you go one guy light on the crew?
No, you just make do. You just got to make it work. I mean, you're going to be going as fast as you can. I mean, that's just the way it is. And like I said before, it isn't like half of them are going to live. I mean, when their eyes are blown out, like you said, it's not a good thing. I don't think. It's like you said, out of sight, out of mind. But in all honest to God truth, why don't you try tagging one of those, or take a boat out and tag a bunch of stuff and let it go, and then figure out, check the mark, find out where your tagged fish are. Oh, look, they're floating over there, an eighth of a mile. Oh, there's a seagull over there. He's got a nice cow. Whatever.
He's got a tag hanging out of his mouth.
No, I remember one time they were doing a special thing on salmon grouper. A big deal on salmon grouper. You remember it? Where they're we're gonna go tag a bunch of salmon grouper. Well, I asked one of the guys that was on the tagging. He was one of the guys out there fishing. I go, what? How you guys getting your information? Oh, well, we put these fish traps down, and we're not getting any baby salmon grouper. I go, well, did you know that those things hang out on the surface on kelp patties? He's like, there's no proof of that. And I go, yes, there is. I'm telling you the truth. I go, these kelp patties out here offshore, there's thousands of them salmon grouper and baby bangfish that get sucked up into the system. They're all in the hand wells. I go, they're half-inch fry. I go, the bluefin are eating them. You look at these bluefin tuna blowing out through the kelp patties, and they're eating rockfish. They're eating. I go, have you guys ever tried putting your trap around kelps or anything? Oh, there's nothing to substantiate this. We put the traps down where I go, you're putting them in the mud because you ain't catching nothing. There's no way you can bring that trap up and it'd be empty every single time. So, like I said, anyway, it's bothersome for me.
No, it's very bothersome.
Just because of the story. I mean, you ask people that do it, and it's like they're quoting what somebody told them. They don't have firsthand experience.
No, and they're not talking to us. They're not.
No.
They don't want to know what you and I know. That's for damn sure. We know that for a fact.
We used to catch salmon grouper up the Atlantia Pier. I'd catch them on the crappie jigs, this big next to the pilings. Catching little small calico bass when I was a little kid. And I'm catching baby salmon grouper this big in the bay, in the mud, in Mission Bay.
Wow. That's something they don't understand right there. That's some pertinent, real information.
Oh, yeah.
Gang, I want to, real quick, before we go any further, Roy, just hold on. I got to show this. Gang, this is fishingbooker.com. This is what Roy and I were talking about a few minutes ago, taking kids fishing. I want you to see this real quick, and we'll talk about it.
No matter where you are, fishingbooker.com can find you a boat to fish on. But there's nothing like fishing with your kids. Nothing like going fishing with your son or your daughter, being out on a boat that can actually find your fish and get memories and take pictures like that and just fish with your kids. There's nothing like it. Let fishingbooker.com find the right fishing boat for you. Go to fishingbooker.com, wherever you are on the planet, and they'll find you a boat to go fishing on.
Pretty cool video right there, gang. And there's the QR code. You want to go to fishingbooker.com and book a boat to go fishing on. You guys, they got you covered. Check it all out. And that was what Roy and I were talking about. And those of you that are watching the show right now and listening to what Roy's saying, the next time you're on your way to Catalina or down to the Coronados and you see a kelp patty, this is what I've done with my kids, and I'm sure you've done it 100 times, Roy. We pull up to the kelp patty, we take the squid braille, and we'll scoop the patty from underneath of it, come up, then pull the squid braille away from the patty, and then dump all that rockfish fry in the tank, and you're going to go, I had no idea. Gang, there's thousands of these little rockfish under every kelp patty. That's their nursery. That's where they live. When they have their eggs, they float to the surface, gang, and then they hatch, and then they run for cover, and they run to the kelp patties. Roy, before you said that, I was like, shoot, I've been doing this since I was a little kid. It's so fun to see all the different fish under the patty that most people don't see. They come up on a patty, they want to catch a Dorado or a yellowtail. They have no idea of the magic that lives under that thing. So thank you for talking about that. That's, gang, you're going to all see what we're talking about the next time you're out there. Scoop that patty up and check it out. It's amazing, the life underneath that patty. But like you said, they don't look where the fish are, because they don't know. They're in an office somewhere making these phenomenal decisions that are going to affect Roy and I's children and my grandchildren.
Yeah, it's true. That's
it doesn't
true.
make any sense. Now, we got a big thing going on right now. This is the main reason why I wanted you to join me today on the show. I love talking to you no matter where we're at, but having you on the show is bringing reality to this. I had Brockman on the show twice last week. This sand bass thing is so near and dear to my heart because the fleet, basically the whole fleet of sport boats in California were built on the back of the barred sand bass. You remember growing up as kids, going out there for the spawn off of Imperial Beach, or me in the clam beds off of San Onofre? That sand bass spawn brought everything: barracuda, white sea bass, yellowtail, king salmon. We would catch it all with those spawning sand bass in the mud. Now they want us to understand this, Roy. The people that are making the decisions are telling us that they don't migrate and they don't spawn. Think about that. Talk about that for a minute. There's a lot of people here that need to understand what's really going on.
They don't migrate, then where do they all come from? If there was that mass of fish around that shows up at that particular time, every half day boat would be full every day, every year to go out there and just have at it. But no, it's a time slot. It's a time frame. They come up, do their deal, and they go back.
And where do they come from, Roy? Tell everybody where they come from.
Well, I'm thinking they're making them at the Hutchinson Bank. There's you can't get anywhere near the bottom over there. You're pulling up a 4 to 6 pounder. Obviously, we're shaking them back. But I remember the first trip I made on the Royal Polaris. Holy cow. We're in there. I'm like, look at these things. I remember I was talking about them the last time I was on here. There's phenomenal sand bass fishing, the best I've ever seen. And no, that's they come up. They come up, they do their deal, and they go back. I mean, they, like I said, for the fish counts, you know, people go out there and get their limited sand bass, limited sand bass, limited sand bass. Then all of a sudden, it isn't like they just magically stop because you caught them all. No, they left. Time to go back down to Mexico. You know,
right, and that's
do their deal.
They're trying to tell us that we caught them all, Roy. And now, Roy, you've spent most of your career for the last 30 years. Well, you've spent your whole career for the last 30 years fishing in Mexico. I try to explain to people at a lot of the spots we fish yellows at down there, if your lure comes anywhere within 10 feet of the bottom, you can't keep the sand bass off of it, right?
No, every hard bottom patch there is. It's amazing. You'll meet around mud. All of a sudden you get one little patch of hard bottom that's, say it's a 50, 60 yard stretch of nice hard bottom, and that's usually where you're getting your yellows and your game fish, whatever. It's going to be coated with sand bass. Like I said, you got to try your best not to let the lure hits the bottom. You don't sit there and do this. You hit the bottom, you wind as fast as you can. Get that thing up and out of there and try and get a yellowtail to eat it. If you do this, it's like a guaranteed sand bass.
Sand bass.
You know, which is not appreciated. I mean, we let them all go down there, but send them up here. So like I said, you got people taking out these little kids that it's a birthday gift. It's I'm gonna go fishing with my dad this weekend, and yeah, you want them to go out and you want them to get a bite, you want them to get some fish, and you know a lot of times guys wait for that sand bass run when they spawn, come up, get the kids out, get them some easy bites, and then they get them hooked on fishing.
Exactly. One thing I wanted to ask you was, with the big sardines that we've had for bait for the last 10 or 12 years, they benefit you phenomenally for what you do. But as a half-day boat operator or as a 3/4 day boat operator, it makes it really tough for people that have never fished before to try to catch a fish on a 5 to 7 inch sardine, right?
Oh, absolutely. No, the anchovy, and that's just it. The anchovy ball, that's another thing you can link into this sand bass phenomenon is I remember being out there and, hey, that's a breezer of sand bass. And my friend Bert's like, you're seeing things. He goes, you're out of control. I go, dude, I'm telling you, I have never seen a breezer of fish. It looks like sand of that species. I go, it looks like a ball of sand bass on the surface. So we're out there and we're off by beam. We're catching, we didn't have a sonar. We just had up and down meter. But we're fishing little bird spots and stuff, turnbirds, seagulls, ball, whatever. Anyway, I go, dude, that's a flat spot of sand bass. And I had the radio on channel 11 to listen to the bait boats because that's what the bait boats are on. And Buck's flying the airplane around. And I hear him, dude, there's balls of sand bass on the surface. And I said, did you hear what he said? He said there's sand bass balls on the surface, and he's seeing them from the airplane. So looks like I wasn't seeing things. And we rolled in there. We had very good fishing on it, but it was good. He's looking for anchovy balls, but there were mixed barracuda, sand bass, everything's in there exactly what you had said. You find a ball of fish, and it's game on. It's barracuda, sand bass, mixed white sea bass, occasional yellowtail, whatever, But it's on those flats. But the main focus was the sand bass. That's why we're all in there driving around, looking around. And like I said back then, we didn't have a sonar, so it was all eyeball fish for me. I mean, that's what I see birds, the way the birds are acting. Let's go see what's going on. Big ball of squatters, whatever. To go over there and snoop around. Oh, look, there's fish here.
And it's super important to understand there's no structure where you're talking about, gang. So like I talked with Don Brockman the other day, we're talking about fish out in we call it the mud. You guys,
out in the mud.
You guys would look at it and go, well, it's sand. Well, it is sand, but we call it mud. There's no structure. So for them to tell me and Roy that those fish aren't there to spawn, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but they're not there to hang out because they're structured. They're there for one reason, and they're there to make little baby sand bass.
Yeah, they get on these big flats. Like normally it's a hard bottom type fish where you go fish and you're going to anchor up. You're going to catch calico bass. You're going to catch sand bass. You're going to catch whatever's mixed in that area. But then, those ones, yeah, you fish them till the current dies or current switches, or you go home. But when you're fishing the sand bass balls on the flats, when they're spawning, when the real balls come up from Mexico to do their thing, that's when they're just roaming around, looking for something a ball of bait to eat or whatever they're doing, cruising around. But that's when there's a big biomass. And by that I mean there could be a 5-mile area of the things. I mean, look at how big your clam beds are up there. You got the IB. Who knows what's below outside Rosarito Beach, inside the islands. But that whole flat, we just have from IB up to Point Loma, there that these guys fish as far as sand bass zones go, or historical sand bass zones go. But down the beach off of Baja, Descanso Bay, all that stuff, we don't know what's down there because we're not there fishing it. But if they're cooning them up here, guarantee you they're getting them down there. I remember fishing Ballast Point when they're catching limit to sand bass every day in that out off the flats. I was fishing that Ballast Point sub base, getting limits of bass in there, 2 to 4 pounders, full speed on. I used to use a lot of what was it called? Culprit plastic worms. I was just fishing like I was fishing largemouth.
Okay.
And I put a little strip of squid on there and fire it out there to 3/4 ounce bullet sinker and just slow wind, get bits at the let them run, set the hook, getting nice bass. And it all coincided with when they're up here spawning, when they come up, do their thing, and then it isn't like you caught them like that every single day. It was about a month or so, and then it was over. And then I would go fish there and catch calico bass, sculpin, whatever was around. But when the bass got in there, it was like it was as good as it gets.
And something that you guys all need to understand is this fish is cyclical, like you can't even believe. It comes and it goes, like Roy was just saying, and we can be cooning them for a month, and then one day you go out there and they're all gone. It's a migratory fish, no matter what the Fish and Game Commission wants to tell us on this website that they've developed to help us close. And it's like I was saying yesterday on the show, it's not even with Bill Varney. It's not even about the sand bass, really. If you get down to it, gang, it's about control and it's about stopping us from fishing. That's what they want. They want us to not fish. They want us to sit in our house. They don't like Roy and I because we're both got a suntan. So we're like enemy number one. We're outside pissing them off like you can't even believe. But this fish is super cycle. It's a big cycle. It's a cyclical thing. Roy, you grew up fishing another cyclical fish, albacore. Okay. Anchovies, albacore. Do you honestly believe in your heart that there are no more albacore?
No, they just haven't had the current to drag them down here. All of that body of fish that keeps going up to Oregon and Washington, eventually, about every 10 or 12 years, whatever, current switch, and that current swings wide and comes down. Well, here's going to come the fish. And those guys up there are going to have a dry spell. They'll have to come down here and fish. Yeah, that's just the way it is. I've already been involved in it and seen it. You know, fishing right alongside all the big timer albacore, bait boat, all the good guys out there fishing side by side with them outside Guadalupe, wherever the body of fish is. These guys are good. They're on it. It comes down here, then we're on it, and then we'll do that for a few years till they decide to leave. And the current switch back around and it goes back up north. It's just for whatever reason, the main body of fish or that body of fish hasn't come back because it hasn't gotten drawn. That current, it's been same pattern, same pattern, same pattern. My dad had a current chart that he would show me. And he had, because he was, I don't know where he got these pilot charts, but whatever. He had them and he showed me. And it coincided with when they were jacking up the albacore in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. He's got, you see these charts? He goes, you can't even get them anymore. But he goes, you see this? And he was showing me the currents, showing me how the currents would come down, sweep in around that 29 line, come in towards up there outside Geronimo, then all that area right there is where the fish would come in and then work its way up towards San Diego. And it was cool to see and put things together and listen to what my dad had to say and see what and actually have a piece of paper that had the arrows and showed them to me when I was a little kid as to why. And then he had them to where we had dry spells. We weren't catching anything. He goes, you see this? The water shifted. It's going this way now. Never got down here. And that's the deal. I remember before you used to be able to go to Morro Bay. Oh, it dried up here in San Diego. Well, you go to Morro Bay and coon them. Well, they're not even making it down that far. The furthest down now is what, San Francisco. They've been getting some shots, but that's the furthest south. But guess what? Maybe this year, maybe whatever. I'm not gonna go on a limb and say here they're gonna be here this year. Now, if you know what, whatever. When they show up, we'll deal with them. All right. It isn't going to be brain surgery. We're going to put lures out. Oh, look, there's albacore. Good. Let's catch those now. All right. It's super simple. You don't need to turn it into brain surgery. We're all going to go fishing. We're going to be fishing bluefin one night or one day. And holy cow, we just had to stop for 40 albacore. Oh, cool. And then we just go into fishing those. So till then, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. Just going fishing, period. And see what shows up.
Well, the reason I wanted you to talk about that cyclical albacore thing is because really you can put your finger on it. The last time we had a good albacore year, that was the last time we had a good sand bass year. And everybody wants to panic that doesn't understand or has never done this. Those of us that have done this for a living, we know. It's like Roy said, we're going fishing. Whatever's out there, we're going to find it. We're going to catch it. But if you take it all away from us, and that's what you're doing with this sand bass right now, because they're going, you guys caught them all in the 60s, 70s, and 80s when they were here. You caught them all. But I want Roy on the show because he goes down to Mexico, and anywhere there's a hard bottom, they're looking for yellows. They're polluted with sand bass, and all that fish is, this is my theory, because we're in a cold water cycle that we haven't been in for a very long time. And we got anchovies and all the bait barges. I think that we're in a cycle where you're going to come around July, middle of July. The guys are, well, we never even started fishing albacore really. Like Bill Poole used to say, light the fireworks and throw the jigs in the water. We're going albacore fishing. Same with the sand bass. They show up around the end of June. and we start catching them July, August, and then they boogie in 1st of September. Well, that's when they want to close it, Roy. They want to close it from June 1st to September 1st, which is pretty odd that they could put their finger on it and say, well, they don't migrate, but in June, July, and August, we don't want you fishing for this fit. Well, wait a minute. You just said they don't migrate. Why can't we fish for them right now then? And why can't we fish for them in June?
Put them off limits July, put them off limits December, January, and February. You guys can't catch a sand bass. You can't because they're not here. They're in Mexico where it's warm.
Right. Gosh, it's just amazing, these people that are making these rules. And I don't want to be in San Diego and Royale and I and you are standing on the dock with my grandbaby and we're going, back when we were your age, we used to go out here and go fishing. Fishing? What's that? Well, remember, Royale, when you were like 4 and 5 and Dad took you fishing? Well, we still get to fish. And we're like, why? Well, we live in Mexico, the land of the free. Oh, shoot. Wow. Well, when Roy and I were your age, Royale, California was known as the land of the free. Not anymore, though, baby. Holy moly guacamole. This is so sad, this sand bass thing, gang. And most people can't even see through the trees and understand that it's not about sand bass. It's not. It's about controlling you, making sure we don't get to take our grandkids fishing. Now, on February 13th, we're all going to get an opportunity to be on this Zoom call, Roy, where we can all talk. I think they're going to let us talk for like 2 whole minutes about our livelihood.
2 minutes?
About your whole life. You get to talk about your whole life for 2 whole minutes. And they're telling us, the flyer that went out the other day, that there'll be no financial cost to not being able to fish sand bass.
What do you mean? Do they have a boat that's going to be tied to the dock?
They said it won't affect us financially if we're not allowed to fish for sand bass. Now, I don't know, but I remember my dad saying, hey, they can't build the boats fast enough right now because everybody wants to go catch sand bass. And that's when they were throwing sport boats together in the 60s as fast as they could at Ditmar Donaldson and the other places because everybody wanted to go catch sand bass. And you take away our fish that most of our kids are going to catch for their first time and take it away during summer vacation. And then how has that not got some financial? It's not going to affect us financially. I don't know.
No, I remember at Seaforth, everybody from Arizona comes over. They come on over in droves to beat the heat, come on down to California. And that was a lot of our clientele. And we go out, drive down, go get them sand bass. It's a good eating fish. It's easy to catch. You know, you go out there and you catch a few of those. They come back, they get them filleted up on the boat. They take them home and make their fish tacos, do whatever, you know, wherever they're staying at, you know. But like I said, they're that was good times. And remember what I was saying before, like I said, the anchovy boat, like I said, the bait boat, you know, it coincides with the anchovies. We haven't really had good anchovy in the receivers for years. Every once in a while, like, yeah, there's been some, but not like when we first started. I mean, even my dad was telling me back in the 50s, it was a lot of it's mainly anchovies, and if guys made squid, you know, every once in a while they get some sardines. Uh-oh.
Hey guys, here comes the kids. They're ready. They want Dad to take them fishing, huh?
Oh yeah, they just showed up.
Woohoo!
They've been in the table there.
I want you guys to see this QR code. Take a picture of it with your phone. This is how we get on that meeting on the 13th. And what I'm trying to do, and I'm talking to all my influencer friends, Reed the Fishmonger and Luke McFadden and Cliff Gray. We're going to pound this meeting. We're going to hopefully have 30,000 people logged on to this meeting, Roy. It's going to be, we're going to show everybody that we actually care about fishing in California. And it matters to us. And if we can get 30,000 people on this Zoom call, and gang, it won't be that hard. I've got the big influencers with the 3 and 4 and 5 million people following them on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Those guys are involved too, because they know that what happens in California happens in Texas, happens in Florida. So I just want to throw the QR code up there. If you want to be a part of the meeting, that's the QR code. And if you just want to watch the meeting, this is the QR code. I don't know why you would take time out of your busy day to not be involved in the meeting. If you want to watch, you're going to be blown away, because the people that are making the decisions, as soon as we start talking, Roy, they start picking their nose, eating their boogers, going to the bathroom, doing all the things that don't matter. They don't want to hear what we have to say. But if there's enough of us talking, they're going to have to listen. So please, everybody, get involved as much as you can. We're going to pound this subject right up till the day. And it sounds like you got to get going out there with those kids. They want to go fish, huh, Roy?
Yeah. They got to wait. The tide's got to get a little lower.
All right.
We'll get it. I'll get him out there. Don't worry.
To talk about fishing with Royale yesterday or today, you guys were catching pompano on the beach already, right?
Oh yeah, no, we went out this morning. I was out there drinking my coffee, and I was looking over and you could see them flipping around. So we went down, and I cast it out and handed the rod, and I go, just wind fast, son. Boom, and he's on there jumping around. It's a good little fighting fish. And he got about a half dozen of them, and he goes, okay, I'm going to go back home. I said, all right, let's go. Well, back we came.
And tell everybody how old Royale is.
He just turned 3.
Yeah.
He just turned 3, but, you know, I take him fishing pretty much every day, or as soon as I wake up, are we going fishing? I'm going to go fishing. Where's my fishing pole? Where's my fishing pole? I say, all right, buddy, hang on. Get him outside, and boom, there he goes, running down to the water. I feel bad when I take him home to back to San Diego, because he's like a caged animal. He has all this nice area to run around. We get home, he's got to play in the backyard, and he's like running around and running out of stuff to do. Over here, he's just running all over the place, collecting seashells, throwing rocks, making a mess, going fishing. It's good to see. Love it.
It's got to be one of the greatest feelings in your heart when you get woken up to, Dad, can we go fishing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I remember how I was with my dad. I used to drive my dad crazy. He dropped me off at the pond down there during one. I remember when I got my first float tube. We'd go to church, and he'd drop me off, and he'd come back, pick me up when the sun went down. I'd be there from noon till dark, and he'd be all, well, how'd you do? I go, I'd show him, and he'd be like, oh, man, where'd you get those at? It doesn't matter. You can't get to it. You don't have a float tube.
Oh, my goodness. Those were the good old days. Drop you off all day. Could you imagine dropping off Royale all day at the lake? No, not today.
Not now. No, not yet anyway, but he'll be able to handle himself.
Yeah, he will. That kid's got so much energy. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
He's ready to go. It's so fun to watch him run around, like you said. And I can't imagine what it's like when you get back to the house in San Diego. It's got to be like looking at a lion in the zoo, pacing back and forth. When are we going back down to the house, Dad?
Yeah, that's it. And his little brother's going to be even more. He's even more freaking all over the place, ready to go. He's just too little. He's only a year and a half, but I'll get him in there.
And what I'm trying to convey to everybody is how important it is to get your kids into this sport. Get them out there on the water. Look at that. Look at that. You've got your boots on, Roy. He's ready, huh?
He stole those from his brother. Second Royale puts anything down, he's wearing it.
Oh, what a great way to grow up for those kids. How phenomenal. Well, you're getting ready to go on another big trip, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to go on we got a 16-day on the Royal Star. Limited load. Going to go down and take a shot at those big fish down there. And see what we come up with.
Think of this, gang. Roy's leaving for 16 days on a boat. He's going to be on the boat for 16 days looking for fish down the Baja Peninsula, way down the Baja, past the Baja, right?
Yes, it's past. Tim will be driving, and it's going to be a good time. I got a lot of the guys on there I haven't seen for a while, and it's going to be like old home week. It's going to be a lot of catching up for me and talking to all the guys.
Yeah, like Tim was telling me a month or so ago when he brought you on the boat, he was telling me what an honor it is to hang out with his buddy that he grew up with since you were little kids, running around the docks like Royale. He's like, it's so fun to hang out with Roy and just sit in the bridge and talk. It's 16-day trip, he says, goes by just like that, hanging out with you.
Yeah, last one by pretty quick. It was a lot of fun catching up for sure.
Yeah, but I'm sure all the passengers are super excited to have you on the boat. You always bring that energy. I was talking to Mike Lum last night about the the Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Festival, and he said, yeah, when Roy would come and he would work in the booth with us at Rollo's Kids at Sea, and spinning the wheel, and you could hear Roy's laugh all over the place there. You were just having so much fun with the people. He's hoping he can bring you back to do that again, because you bring that energy wherever you go, buddy.
Yeah, that was always fun. The Wheel of Fortune. That was always fun, spinning that wheel back there in that corner with Howard and hanging out, telling stories, and that was a lot of good times.
And if you're at the show this year, everybody's going to be coming up to see if that's real hair or is that a wig.
Yeah,
they all want to jerk on your hair. I know they do it every day on the boat. Give me that. Is that real?
Some guy thought this is my Avco visor, but he thought it was a hat.
Right.
No, there's hair attached. It's real. Give it a yank.
Yeah. Jump on that and give it a pull. And then if you look, Royale's trying to grow the same hairdo. He wants to be just like Dad. It's pretty cool. Cool. Well, gang, I hope you all enjoyed hanging out, talking to Roy. I don't want to hold him up much longer. Those kids are super important to get them out there on the water. Roy, have a good trip on the 15th or on that 16-day trip. It should be incredible.
Oh, yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. We'll have a good time. It's always a good time out there.
And I'll throw up those QR codes one more time for this meeting, gang. I want you all to share this show with everybody. Talk about this sand bass thing with anybody that'll listen, gang, because we need to stop these closures in California. It means so much to me. I'm so deeply involved in this thing, and I can really use everybody's help. I'm reaching out to every influencer I know, trying to get the word out, because it doesn't matter if you're in, I know the powers to be, Roy, are not going to like this, but I don't care if you're in Australia, New Zealand, Baja. If we're all on this call, they can't tell where you're on it. The Zoom call, they don't know where you're coming from, but you got to tell them how disappointed you are in the closing of fishing. And that's what it's all about. But we got to be level-headed. Write down what you want to say. Don't get on there screaming and yelling, because that's not going to do us any good. Get on there and talk like Roy and I are talking right now. Level-headed. Let them know what you think. You don't want them to close fishing. I don't want them to close fishing. Royale doesn't want them to close fishing.
No.
Right?
No. Heck no.
Could you imagine looking in little Royale's eyes tomorrow morning and telling him we're not allowed to fish in the bay anymore, son?
He just grab a pole. He's at that age right now. Hey, you just don't do that. And he just does it anyway. It's like he can't hear. He's got that selective hearing deal going on right now. Put that pole down. He's walking right out the door with it.
That's so awesome. That is awesome. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for watching the show today. Tomorrow we have Heather Smith from Heather Smith Outdoors joining us. She's got a new business she's going to run by us all. You can probably make money with your private boat if you get involved with Heather. We'll have her on the show tomorrow. We'll also be talking about the closures and everything with Heather. Roy, thank you for taking time out of your vacation to hang out with us.
All right, thank you. It was fun.
Have a great day, everybody. I can't believe we had like 75 people watching live on Facebook for a little while. That was crazy. It's always when Roy's on. They just come. I think it's the hair.
All right, Dave. We'll check back in with you later.
All right. Tell Lauren I say goodbye.